Hey, Tim, good morning. How are you?
Morning, guys. Doing well. How are you?
Doing fantastic. So, at this time on Thursdays, we check in with Tim Foley, but we have a special version here of the Railers check in where we're going to talk a little bit about the Railers, but we do have a very, a really interesting and informative event that's going to be happening on Friday, February 7th from 5:30 to 6:30 at the Rail Yard at the DCU Center. And this is going to be the Worcester Railers hosting the Women in Sports Night, and it's presented by Nichols College. And Tim, we have a special guest on the line. Do you want to introduce Dr. Keller, or would you like me to run that down?
Ben, the honor's all yours. You got it.
So this is Dr. Keller. She will be she is the moderator of the panel here, and she's the program director for sports administration at Boston College. And this is just going to be a conversation about women in sports, and the Railers going to be hosting this. And so, Dr. Keller, good morning. Thank you so much for joining Tim and I here on the segment.
Good morning. Thank you for having me.
So let's talk about the panel coming up on Friday, February 7th. What's that going to be, and what's the panel going to look like, and what's the format? Kind of, what's this all going to look like, and what are you guys going to talk about?
Sure. We have some amazing women who have worked in sports for a very long time, and someone who just got her break into the industry, and they come from all genres, from a longtime high school athletic director to the licensing director of the ECHL to the office manager of another conference office, and then someone from the Connecticut Sun. So as I think many of you know, women's sports kind of had a breakthrough the past year, but we're really going to talk about what it takes as a woman to get a job in sports, to be successful, to sustain in the industry. And honestly, this panel, it will help anyone who wants to work in sports. I run the Master's in Sports Administration program at Boston College. It's an applied program. It's not a research program. And all my faculty teach in the industry. So I'm an expert in this. I worked in college sports for 25 years. So we're really excited to showcase these amazing women and the different ways you can work in sports, not just the GM, it's not just the coach. There's so many other avenues of working in sports, and we're gonna describe those things and how you can get there and how you can make a successful career in doing it.
And Dr. Patty Keller on with us, and you moderated the Women in Sports panel for the Woo Sox this past season at Polar Park. So doing a fantastic job at promoting women in sports and highlighting these amazing professionals. And you will also be speaking at the New England Sports Summit next month, hosted by the Worcester Bravehearts at Holy Cross. So really, I mean, this is a tour across Worcester and Massachusetts, and I mean, really just highlighting women in sports, and this is such a growing portion of the sports world.
Yes, people are watching women's sports. Actually, a lot more men watch women's sports than women, which is crazy. And there's so many reasons for that. Legalized sports gambling is one of them, but it's an exciting game. The Caitlin Clark effect is one of the big things with women's basketball, but college women's volleyball is one of the most watched televised events this past year, and now they have 2 professional leagues. So there's a lot of cool things going on with women's sports. And, when I was a kid, I didn't really have a lot of women to look up to in the 70s and the 80s, and now all these girls have these amazing women to really show that you can do it.
Yeah, I want to highlight 2 quick things. One is in women's sports, I believe 13,000 at the Garden for the women's Beanpot final this past year, just a couple weeks ago. And then I think Nebraska, You talked about volleyball. I believe I read that a year ago or so, Nebraska sold out Memorial Stadium in Lincoln, Nebraska, 92,000 people live to watch women's volleyball. So like you said, I mean, Caitlin Clark, WNBA, it just seems as though women's sports, and you can even go down the line onto, Olympic women's hockey and women's soccer. And it just seems as though we're in a golden age and kind of just getting more and more popular with women's sports.
I think in many cases it's the more truer brand. Right now, you see Mick Cronin from UCLA talking about his basketball players, and they all think they're entitled to be there because they're getting paid. Well, the women aren't. They're not. Some of them are making some name, image, likeness money, but really they are playing because they absolutely love it, and they put so much time and energy growing up to be the best that they are. And it's really, I think, a more pure game, and people are enjoying it.
So what can we look forward to from this panel? What are you expecting to talk about, mostly hit on? What will be the focus here on February 7th?
I think one of the big things, and I talk to my students a lot about this, is saying yes, right? No job is too small when you're trying to break in the industry, and it might be fetching coffee, but be present, be trustworthy, deliver, and that's how you really get your start in the sports. And, higher education is really important in the sports industry. So that's something too. It's looking beyond just your bachelor's degree. I teach in a program, as a master's program. There, students are coming from all genres of majors, and they realize after working into a year or two in a job that they can't stand, that they want to work in sports, and they come back to grad school. And ours is very applied. Students have internships. All our faculty work in the sports industry, and it helps make them break into the industry, and also really exposes them to all the different jobs in sports. You can work for a team, but you can work sport adjacent for companies like Whoop and Huddle and Daktronics and AstroTurf and really have a great career.
Yeah, absolutely. Tim, I want to get your a take on this, because this really is part of the Railers' philosophy of growing the game. I mean, this is something that the Railers have been committed to, and this is just another instance of doing that.
Right. I mean, you hear it so often thrown around the hockey community that hockey is for everybody, and this is another way that we're really trying to push for that and advocate for that. And might I say, I actually did attend that panel over at Fuller Park when Dr. Keller was hosting it for the Blue Sox, and even as a man in the room, I felt like there was a lot for me to learn in regards to what the experience is like for a woman trying to get into the sports industry, because it is two entirely different experiences from everything I've learned to this point. So I found it to be extremely informative. I'm so glad that we're able to partner with Dr. Keller and Wise to be able to bring this panel to life, along with Nichols College as well, and host it ourselves here at the DCU Center ahead of what's going to be a great night of action, both off the ice in regards to talking with the panelists and on the ice, of course, with another great game.
Yeah, and Tim, like I said, and Dr. Keller, like I was saying, I think this is a very timely event, because especially in hockey specifically, you do have the Boston Fleet, and you do have the women's Beanpot and women's college hockey. And so I do think that this highlighting of women in sports, but talking about the Railers, more specifically women in hockey, is just a very timely event, and just I think that was a smart thing to put this now, because I think that it's happening right now.
Well, National Girls and Women's Sports Day is next week, so it's every year in February.
Oh, fantastic. Absolutely. So National Women and Girls in Sports, huge. But also, I mean, and like I said, I'm a big fan of hockey myself, and that for me extends as well to the, professional hockey with the Fleet, and also collegiate hockey as well. So I'm very happy that this is happening, and as a hockey fan, and, just growing the game not only to other parts of the world, but also, with women as well.
I think something that a lot of people don't realize, 86% of our female CEOs in the United States were high school and college athletes. So sports just give you so much more than just being a great athlete. It gives you confidence. It makes you assertive. It shows that you can be ambitious, but also work as part of the team. And I think that's something that sports do that for everyone. I think it's really important that kids get involved in sports, even if it's at the rec level, because it teaches so many great values beyond just entertainment. Absolutely.
Dr. Patty Keller, thank you so much for joining us. I really, really appreciate it, and want everyone to get out to the Women in Sports Night, and that is Friday, February 7th, 5:30 to 6:30, the Rail Yard at the DCU Center, and Dr. Patty Keller will be the moderator of that. And very quickly, before we sign off, Tim, I just want to give you a quick second to plug tomorrow's game, which is going to be the Banner 18 game here at the DCU Center.
Yeah, thanks, Fitz. So we do have Banner 18 night, as you mentioned, the NBA championship trophy that the Celtics won this past summer is going to be in the building. Fans can come in and take a picture with it. It's going to be available from when doors open at 6 to when the first intermission wraps up. So super excited to get everybody into the building on Friday night, tomorrow night. It's our only game of the weekend as well. That's a home game anyway. Teams on the road on Sunday, and everyone's off on Saturday. So if you want to get your fix of Worcester Railers hockey, tomorrow's your night. If you're a basketball fan as well, that works hand in hand. And then we're coming up on our big Southern road trip. Those 3 games next week, our sensory-friendly game on Wednesday, our women's sports night on Friday, and then our Pink in the Ring game with a pink jersey and Anthony or Patsy bobbleheads on that Saturday. And then we're gone for 3 weeks, not back until the end of February. So right now is the time. Come on down, and looking forward to seeing everybody first tomorrow night.
Well, Dr. Patty Keller, voice of your Worcester Railers, Tim Foley, thank you both for joining us this morning.
Thank you.
Thank you, guys. We'll see you.